If you're a photographer, you need to hear this. I'll be sharing the 5 things I wish I knew when I started on my photography journey. I hope you learn from my experiences and you can have an easier start yourself. So let me just give you a quick intro, I guess a summary of my photography journey. So I found an old camera back when I was living in Lagos, Nigeria. I think when I was either 14 or 15 years. I quite forget right now. And I found that camera and I'd always loved taking pictures. And so it was like the perfect way for me to have an abundance of photos. So I just started taking pictures of like family, friends, at school. It was that period was towards my last it was in my last year of secondary school, so I was just like documenting and taking all these pictures because I always thought, you know what, when I'm old and I'm like retired, I would love to have an abundance of photos and albums I can look back on. So I was just taking all these pictures that signified moments in my life, and I carried on doing this all the way when I moved to London. The last day of my college A levels, I took pictures of all my friends as well. I went on to university. I was taking pictures of I and my friends going out on nights out, traveling, doing fun things. And so I have an amazing catalog right now, which I'm so happy about because whenever Google Photos reminds me of what I was doing like 5 or 10 years ago, it just brings back a flood of good memories. Anyway, so that was just sort of like what I did with photography at the time. It was more like a documentary, just organic taking pictures. So during my last year of university, I'd realized I had a good talent for writing. And so I was telling stories, writing for a company. And I soon realized, you know what, actually, I just don't want to tell written stories. I would love to tell visual stories as well. And so I decided to start my own blog. And then that's when I got my first DSLR camera, which was the Nikon D300, I believe. It was a crop sensor camera. Anyway, so as I started traveling, I started doing travel blogging as well. And that was the moment things quite changed for me. So I was no longer just taking documentary stuff, pictures, the whole point and shoot. I started taking pictures of landscapes and places because I quickly realized when I started that blog that I could not just download any pictures I saw on the internet and put it on my blog. I would be sued by the photographer who owns the copyright. And so I was just trying to take landscape pictures and abstract pictures which I could use on my blog to accompany the written words I was creating. So anyway, through that, I started paying more attention to like my composition, to what my camera did, to having like the blur in the background and all of that. And that's how enjoying photography as an art form really started for me. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much to this. And of course, I was traveling it to beautiful places. So I was taking pictures of myself as well as whoever I was with. And so now moving on to like about 2016, I was writing my first novel and I just had this strong sense of I really want to tell visual stories because bringing that book to life was took a good number of years from me getting the idea for the novel all the way to when it was published in 2020. And I was just like, there's so much process to this and there's so many people involved who had to like believe in my work to like give me a book deal and then go through the whole process of getting the book ready for publication. It was a number of years and I was like, I just want to tell stories. And I knew using photography would be a much easier way because I would majorly have the control of it. I would set up the photo shoot, bring up the concepts, take the pictures, edit them, and I can literally publish my stories whenever I wanted to. It shouldn't take a great number of years. I decided to start taking my photography more seriously. And as I started to build a portfolio and practice and learn and all of that, I realized I also enjoyed taking portraits of people. And I was like, you know what? You've been with a camera since you were 14 years old and you're now at 2016, I was 26. It's been over a decade. Why not try and see if you could, make a career out of it? And as soon as I had that idea and I trialed it and I loved it, I was just like, yes, this is the career of my dreams. This is what I had been longing for and I didn't quite know I was good at. And that's sort of how I decided to start photography professionally. And so now I built my portfolio in 2017, late 2017. And then as at 2018, I was like, my doors are open. I'm a professional photographer. You guys can book me now. And as at late 2019, I decided I wanted to specialize in boudoir photography. So my work has always been about empowering women and marginalized communities. And through my trialing boudoir photography and speaking to the women I had worked with and them explaining why they did it, how they wanted it to help them build their confidence, and it felt empowering. I was just like, this is amazing. This is what I want to do with my work anyway. And if this is what boudoir stands for, then I would love to specialize in this. And then just going through the process of like learning more about the industry and the different reasons why other women do it and how that would incorporate with my life goals and how that sort of like really calls to me and feels in sync with my spirit, I decided boudoir was gonna be it. So now this is my 4th year of specializing in boudoir photography. So I hope this has given you a quick summary of my long journey into photography and my career and why I know a lot of things and why I'm sharing what I wish I knew with you. Number 1. Realize that everyone's journey is different. So, depending on what has inspired you to pursue a photography career, you may have been, let's say, inspired by someone you look up to on social media, or maybe your parent was an artist or a photographer, or you've seen things like in a magazine or in an ad and you thought, oh wow, I would love to do that. No matter what has led you towards this path, you also need to realize what your own dreams are. You also need to realize what you are passionate about and not just go with, what whoever has inspired you to pursue this journey. I say this because myself, I had always done photography, like I shared earlier, but when I decided to pursue it as an art form, I had been inspired by some people I had been following on Instagram and some of the things they were doing. When I decided to pursue it as a career, I started sort of going for those sort of things. So for example, there was a particular photography residency someone who I look up to had done the previous year, and I thought, wow, that was like an amazing documentary project she was on. I would love to like apply for that as well. And so I was applying for that residency, and then later on I didn't get it. No surprises there. But later on, when I was further along in my journey and just thinking about it, I was like, yeah, actually, that's not sort of photography that calls to me. I don't particularly want to be a documentary photographer, traveling to like far regions and reclusive places. I think at some point, maybe I would love to experience that, but do I want my photography career to be, focused on that style of like storytelling? No, not really. And so I was pursuing the wrong things because I'd been inspired by this person. So remember, everyone's journey is different. You need to dig within, figure out for yourself what calls to you, what your purpose is, and then try to create a career following your own visions. So the second thing I wish I knew was investing in the business side of photography. And so I think as artists, as photographers, we really pay attention to like always improving, getting the best photos, getting the best locations, learning, retouching, lighting, and all of that, which are all great because You need to be very skilled in order to do this professionally and to deliver amazing products for your clients. But another part we don't pay close attention to is the business side. And this is why the sort of phrase of the struggling artist persists. And I think maybe this is why I didn't discover my creative talents earlier, because I just didn't want to be a struggling artist. I wanted to be able to create a life where I could live comfortably. And that was because I didn't know there was this element to, like, marketing strategies and all of the other workflows and processes that would enable you to run a successful business. And so I wish I knew this when I started, instead of just diving head first and just going with the flow. I wish I invested in education. So if you're starting, or even if you're not starting, if you've been doing this for years and you're not at the point you would like to be, you're not yet a full-time photography and you would love to do this full-time, then you definitely need to look for investing in education. Okay, so the third thing I wish I knew was to not base my price off of other people. Not knowing how to price yourself when you first start is normal. No one's born knowing this. So I did this myself. I went and just Googled and found different websites and saw what they were charging and tried to put myself on that same level and then offer something a bit different to make me stand out. That was totally the wrong way to go about doing it. I think when you're running a business, you should know your cost of doing business. You should make sure you have that down, what it would cost you to deliver certain packages to your clients, what all the softwares you're using to run your business, the insurance, your studio costs, all of that. Add all that cost. Also figure out for yourself what you would like to earn in a year to live a comfortable life, to live a lifestyle you would like to live. If you like to take 4 weeks holiday in the year, make sure you're calculating that downtime. So when you're off on your holiday, you can still get paid. People who work 9 to 5 get paid. They take holiday days and get paid. When they're sick and they cannot work, they have sick days, they get paid. When they want to go for training, the company wants to upskill them, they would pay for that. When the company needs new softwares, the company would pay for that. You need to include all of this into your cost of running business. Do the maths. See how many clients you can take on in a year, do that division, and that should give you a good idea of what you should be charging per client. So again, I'm just starting this channel, so there's so many videos coming your way on how to do this. I'll be making an in-depth video on how to create the perfect package and do your pricing. But for now, I've also created a video already where I've talked about the signs you should look out for when it's time to increase your photography prices. I'll link that up in a card up above, so make sure you check that out. So the fourth thing you need to know is that not everyone is your client, and you need to realize this as quickly as possible. You'd have some people looking for the cheapest photography prices, and you have some people wanting the most expensive because they want to rave about how expensive their photo shoot was. They want to stunt on their friends and whatever. They want to have big galleries in their homes of their pictures, and they would go to those photographers who charge in the thousands, upper thousands, and can create that beautiful framed wall art piece of their family, of themselves in their beautiful mansions. So there's going to be a photographer in so many different price range, and depending on where you're sitting with your prices, not everyone's going to be your client, and that's fine. Do not be in despair when you tell people your price and they say you're too expensive. When I was charging £150 for my photo shoots, I had people telling me I was expensive, and I was just like, wait, what? If I can't charge £150 for a photo shoot, how much do you want me to earn? And that wasn't even covering my costs. Well, it was covering those costs at the time, but it wasn't paying me what I would need to earn in order to become a full-time photographer. And so now, My minimum is in the hundreds, and my biggest package is in the upper thousands, and I have people paying those prices. But of course, there's some people who just cannot afford that at the time, or some people who do not value what I offer and would not want to spend on that, and that's fine. You have to understand not everyone is your client. Right now, if you tell me to buy a designer bag that costs £1,000, I'll look at you and be like, excuse me, are you crazy? Hell no. Because I do not value that. But if you tell me, oh, we're going on this trip, Zanzibar, I paid like 1,500 for the flight ticket alone. And this was for like 8 days. And I swiped that card so fast. Meanwhile, so can you sort of see what I'm trying to say? A handbag, a designer bag that would last me, I would like to think, all of my life, and I could pass it down to like my kids and all of that, for £1,500, I'm not gonna buy that. No, thank you. But a trip that I'm gonna be there for just 7 days and it costs exactly the same amount, yes, I'm gonna do that. Thank you. So we all value different things. So never be sad about when a client says no. Well, not a client, a lead says no. It just means it's either not in their budget at that moment, or they do not value your service enough. And that's fine. You're going to welcome in those who do. For this video, the fifth thing I wish I knew was mindset. Mindset matters. Cultivating an abundance mindset will do you so much good, and I've talked about this in one of my recent videos. I will link that up above as well. Make sure you go binge watch all my videos. They're gonna help you on your photography and business journey. And so I find that there are three things to like being an entrepreneur. The first, well, a photographer, entrepreneur, the first thing is having your quality images, quality client experience. That needs to be top notch. The second is the business element. You need to run your operation smoothly and efficiently to make sure you're delivering an amazing client experience and you're covering all your costs and making profit. And the third thing is your mindset. If you have a negative mindset and you're not doing the things that would enable you to overcome your money blocks, link up below for money blocks. You can learn more about that. You're going to really struggle. And so cultivating that abundance mindset is very important. If you enjoyed watching this video, then I'll think you would like to watch this one where I talk about how to grow your photography business this year. That's it for now. See you next week. Bye.